All right, we're continuing our journey through the constitutional questions. And today we're going to take up the legislative branch, Article 1, and we're going to start with question K. Question K. What is the job of the legislature? Well, this is a pretty easy one. Number one, the job of the legislature is to write laws. Okay, it's pretty simple. They're the ones who actually write the laws that are then enforced by the president. Number two, their job is also to make the budget. In other words, it's Congress that makes the budget that then tells what the United States is going to spend money on. You notice this whole coronavirus thing that's going on, it is the Congress that wrote the $2 trillion stimulus package. It is Congress that did that. And then they passed it, signed by the president. But all the details about it were written by Congress. That's a key job they have. The third thing that Congress is supposed to do is they're supposed to watch over the government. How is it spending money? What is it doing with its money? What are members of Congress? What are members, not members of Congress, but what are members of the government doing with the money that Congress is telling them to use? Appropriating is what it's called. So that is called oversight. So they watch over the government. So three things that Congress does: makes laws, passes a budget, and watches over the government and how it spends its money, called oversight. So those are the three things. Okay. Next question. How does something become a law? It's pretty simple. Some of you might remember there's a bill on Capitol Hill when you were young. Um, it's pretty simple. A bill to become a law has to go through the House, has to go through the Senate, goes to the president for his signature. Okay, so that's a simple thing. We can go into a great deal of detail about it, but that's not the big deal. Again, look at the coronavirus thing. The Senate passed it first, then it went to the House, and then it went to the president. And each of them had to approve it. Okay, so it's a pretty simple thing. It has to be approved by the House and the Senate, and then the president has to sign it into law. It's important to note they each have to sign the exact same document. Okay? So the House and the Senate, both of them have to pass the exact same document. Sometimes they make a mistake, not so good. And when they do, they have to fix it. They have to correct that mistake. Okay. And in fact, there was one bill that was passed when I think it was when George W. Bush was president, where it turns out the House and the Senate had passed different versions of the same thing. So they sat down, the leadership chose, which one are we going to go with? And the House that had approved that, then they were good, but the other House had to reapprove that corrected version, and then the president signed it into law. It's very, very important they pass the same thing. So again, House, Senate, President for a bill to become law. The next question. What powers does the U.S. legislature have? Oh boy, that is a tough one. Okay, I want to turn your attention. I'm looking it up on my phone right now. I have the Constitution on my phone. I have an app for it. Very, very helpful. Um, Maybe you can too. I don't know. So it's called, well, I'm talking about the app. It's United States Constitution. But I want to turn your attention to it, to Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. And Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution lists 17 different powers that Congress has. So it starts off the power to lay and collect taxes. Okay, the basic duty of Congress is to tax. Okay, and then number two, to borrow money. Okay, Congress has the power to go into debt. And as you're very aware, we have gone into $23 trillion worth of debt. And I hate to say it, with this new $2 trillion package for the coronavirus, that $23 trillion debt is going to be about $25 trillion. Okay, and then you just go through those. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. They're called the enumerated powers, and they lay down the job of Congress. Let me just read a couple. To establish rules for naturalization and bankruptcy. Okay, to coin money, make money. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting. To establish the post office. To give patents and copyrights. To establish courts below the Supreme Court. To declare war. To support an army, to have a navy. Let's see, to call forth the militia, which is the National Guard. Let's see, anything else? To have legislation for the District of Columbia. And then number 18, okay, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper. Necessary and proper to carry out the previous powers that are listed. So basically what we have, Article 1, Section 8, list 17 different powers that the U.S. government has, okay? And then number 18 says, and the Congress has the power to do anything that is necessary and proper to put the original 17 into motion, okay? So it's pretty simple. What powers does it have? They're found in Article 1, Section 18. Take a look at them. Next one. Question N. Where must bills to raise taxes start? Pretty simple question. If you're going to raise taxes, where does the bill have to start? It starts in the House of Representatives. In other words, if you're going to tax the people, the framers thought, if you're going to tax the people, you better start in the House of Representatives because they're the closest to the people and they go before the voters every 2 years. Okay, so if they're raising your taxes, you don't like it, you got a chance within the next 2 years to kick them out. Okay, you notice the stimulus package, the $2 trillion stimulus package that Congress just approved and the president signed into law. You notice that didn't involve taxes, it involved spending. And as a consequence, it started in the U.S. Senate. Okay, tax bills start in the House. Okay, next question, question O. Who and what can get taxed? I hate to tell you, anything can get taxed. Anything at all. Okay? Who and what can get taxed? Government has the power to tax just about anything you can think of. And the reality is, it usually does. Okay? Next question, sort of a bizarre question. Can we have nobility and royalty in the United States? And the answer is no, we can't. I mean, certainly, Queen Elizabeth can come to the United States if she wants to, and you can hang out here and still call her Queen. But can we have the U.S. government make persons of nobility, make royalty? And the answer is no. There is no royal family, royalty in the United States. Okay? Just the way it is. Can states do the same things as the U.S. Constitution? Well, interesting question. And this refers to Section 10 of Article 1 of the Constitution. And basically what Section 10 does is it restricts the power of states. It says states cannot have treaties, cannot make their own money, cannot declare war. Okay, so there's certain powers that are restricted from the states, restricted only to the U.S. government. Just the way it is. Those are powers denied to the states. Okay, and they just can't. You can't have Texas imposing tariffs on goods from Mexico. Doesn't work. Okay, you have to have uniform tariffs, and those come from Washington, D.C., and they affect all 50 states. Okay, so can states do the same things that the U.S. does? And the answer is no, they can't. They can do some things. Notice that you can be arrested, charged with a state crime. You can be arrested and charged with a federal crime. Okay, that's the way it is. Both the states and the federal government tax you. Okay, but can the states do the same thing as the federal government? The answer is no. I want to point out it's really interesting as you look at what is going on in the country as we're dealing with the coronavirus. Notice that it's the states, it's, for example, Texas, that is issuing regulations on us staying in our homes. Why are we teaching online here? Okay, it's very simple. Governor pretty much told us to. Okay, governor said we can't get together with more than 10 people. Not the president saying that, the governor saying that. Why can't we go to a restaurant and have a sit down? Why can't we go to a bar? Because governor told us we can't. Those are powers that are denied to the federal government that are given to the state governments. Okay? So, with that in mind, what we have done then is we have gone through Article 1, and this is questions K through Q.